Hey everyone, welcome to my 2023 recap video and also a summary of my top 5 exercises that I liked and got the best results with throughout the year. A huge update personally is that we are going to be moving to San Diego, California, probably in June of this upcoming year. Reason being is that Portland is my home and it will always be my home, Portland, Oregon, that is. But Portland is kind of a desert as it relates to the kind of stuff that I really want to eventually start doing. And that is to integrate multiple different types of very high level practitioners, multidisciplinary integration, so to speak, under one roof. My 5-year vision, so I guess that would be 2029, is to have a fairly large facility that has everything underneath one roof. And I'm not just saying everything as it relates to physical therapy and chiropractics and personal training. No, I'm talking about myofunctional therapy. I'm talking about optometry. I'm talking potentially about someone who is able to look in the mouth and do splints and other appliances that I'm not going to go into too much right now that can help align everything, because the hardest people that we work with usually have visual, cranial, cervical, dental issues. And so I want to get someone that can really work alongside what we're trying to do here. And eventually I want to build the model for different types of facilities around the world, being able to adopt that, and I can help them with that. Because that's really where I'm trying to go. I'm at a place where I feel successful enough to be able to just focus on how do I make the world a better place at this point? How can I give people the opportunity to be seen by someone and a team of people that can fully address the body from head to toe, podiatry even. So getting all that underneath one roof, which I think is actually very realistic and reasonable, within 5 years is going to be my goal. And the best place we can start to do that in is San Diego, because it's a little bit of an untapped market down there. There's not a whole lot of people doing what I'm doing. But also there's a lot of high level people down there as well that I want to connect with. The last 12 months have been quite up and down, that's for sure. I'm pretty happy with how far my YouTube channel has progressed and my Instagram page as well. I feel like I am starting to understand my audience more and more with each passing year and what types of content you guys want, what you benefit from the most. And there is sort of this battle that I have internally of trying to balance putting out quality content, the stuff that goes into detail, versus the content that just grabs attention, because there is this yin and yang. The stuff that's a little bit lower level, the content that appeals to the masses, so to speak, isn't necessarily the content I enjoy making the most, but it is also the content that tends to get by far the most attention and also grows my audience the most. However, on the other hand, I have the content I truly enjoy making, the stuff that is a little bit higher level, and the stuff that a lot of probably more of the consistent viewers of my channel and content enjoy seeing the most. So it's this struggle that the bigger you get, not that I'm a big name or anything, but as you get bigger, you start to need to do more of this type of content. And it's par for the course, it's to be expected, but it's not necessarily my favorite thing. So I'm trying to find that balance of like, how do you combine these things together? What is the right balance? Because my methodology and the processes that I use are so different than everything else out there right now. They're really requiring the individual to get a good understanding of multiple different videos that I have, multiple longer length videos. You can't just necessarily take an exercise off of an Instagram post and see optimal success with it. It requires a little bit more effort and a little bit more research on the individual's part to know what's going to work best for them. So, that's something that is a hurdle for me to overcome, and I'm trying to pick more simple exercises. But what I'm learning at the end of the day is it's just so hard for someone to be able to take an exercise off the internet and implement it perfectly on their own. It's possible and people do it, but I commonly talk to a lot of people and I get a lot of messages from people who be like, hey, I tried this, it works, but something doesn't feel quite right. So my goal for 2024 is to be able to find easier exercises, things that are a little bit less complicated, require a little bit less mental strain, but ultimately are still going to give a positive benefit. I think I'm headed in that direction. So it's not something that I completely know where I'm going quite yet, but I think it is going to be hopefully a nice step in the right direction that appeals to more of the masses, but doesn't leave the people that I know really want that deeper content behind. In less positive news, 2023 was actually not a great year for my own health. I'm not talking about mechanically because, I can sort that part out, but physiologically, I've had a large struggle over the last 5 years of my life with energy, waking up feeling okay, general lethargy, and I couldn't quite figure out what was going on. But thanks to finally getting in touch with some doctors who knew what they were doing, I was able to identify some pretty significant deficits in my blood work. And through supplementation and some other prescription help, I've been able to sort this stuff out. And there was a period in my life where I was on antidepressants, and I thought that was what the issue was. I thought I was just depressed, but I've now understood the issue at hand. There were a lot of B vitamin deficiencies, even though I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian. There were a lot of adrenal issues. There were some hormonal issues, and they were all affecting me in a pretty significant way, even though I thought I was taking care of myself pretty well. Now, since I've been through this process and I'm starting to feel quite a bit better, it's really enlightened me as to how important blood work is. And going back to getting everyone underneath one roof in San Diego, getting someone to do the physiology side of things as well, I think will be very important, because I just wonder, people that are in chronic pain consistently, how much is it being influenced by potentially subpar blood work and subpar physiology? I'm sure a significant aspect of it. And I'm just responsible for a lot of the mechanical side of things, but what about all that other stuff? So I'm curious to integrate that more and more as I progress through my own career and journey too. So that was a struggle for a while, but now that I feel like I'm starting to turn the corner on that, I feel like I'm going to be able to go into 2024 with a clear head, and I can honestly say a lot better of an attitude and perspective on life as a whole. Enough blabbering on my end. Let's get into what a lot of people want to see and hear, which is my top 5 exercises and the things that I found the most helpful in 2023. The very first thing is the side lying lateral decompression exercise. I'm going to be linking these down below in the description, but I found this to be just an incredibly simple and effective way to decompress the hips and the low back while improving someone's breathing strategy. The very first thing I do with just about damn near everyone that has any sort of pain that's not very localized is to teach them how to breathe better, because all of my exercises have a breathing component for the most part. So getting that in place first, while getting a little bit of extra stuff, has been very, very helpful. So there's a reason why this exercise is the very first thing in my beginner body restoration program. It's for that reason. And you can even make this more of a manual exercise, where if you have someone that has the legal means to push down on the side of your hip, your iliac crest, that can improve the outcomes of this potentially, as long as you're not pushing too hard. The second thing is the 90-90 half roll. I actually have this in my beginner body restoration program, and it's the second exercise. So that way people can start to very gently loosen up the hips, start to get some motion back. A big problem that many people have coming in is that they have a lot of tone and tension built up within their system. So getting them to relax and getting them to decrease tension, excessive tension, while still moving is a huge game changer for some people, because the biggest issue with so many people that are in chronic pain is that they just can't relax. They can't get their body to shut down a little bit. They can't go parasympathetic. And this is one way that's an effective tool for getting them to start to move their hips a little bit within their hip sockets and not have to use a lot of tension while doing it like they're used to. Number 3 is actually just a standard side plank, but in a 90-90 position, because getting someone to to be able to close down their abs on one side and open the other is an essential aspect of how humans move, whether it's gait, running, alternating activities like throwing. There's so many different things where we need to be able to close down one side and open up the other. And a side plank is a great way to start to introduce that. And so I'm a big fan of getting what we call thoracic abduction early on in a program for getting someone to be able to better lateralize and shift towards one side. And I usually do it only on the side that they need to shift to. Number 4 is going to be the side lying glute max exercise. Now, depending on whether you need it on the left or right side will vary, but doing it with a little bit different of an emphasis that I've had before in the past, which is that thoracic abduction component, that side bending component, has been a total game changer. And this exercise is so helpful for getting people to get out of the side that they're shifted into too much and begin to start to get a little bit better symmetry within their pelvis. So if you've seen an exercise like this before, but you haven't done it like this, go check that out. It's really great. Now, finally, number 5, the GOAT, the side lying abduct and shift, is by far the best exercise that I know to get someone in a more neutral position. But the problem is that they got to do it right and they got to be ready for it. Generally speaking, you need to be able to have enough internal rotation on the side you're laying on to be able to access this position genuinely. Sometimes it's about 25 degrees, and give or take 5 degrees. So in order to do that on the top side, you need to be able to have full hip extension. And that is something you also have to get back in many cases as well. And this is one of those things it's intricate and there's a lot going on, but I accept that and I'm okay with that because it works so well. And for the right person, and let's say they're ready for it, I would say it gets them neutral in a very significant way in about 85% of cases. And I'm not exaggerating there. But again, the caveat is that they have to be ready for it. So there's a reason why my beginner body restoration program is designed to get people to do that exercise effectively and to be able to do it with optimal form progressed over a couple of weeks. So I hope that helps, guys. I hope it was cool to just see me sit down and chat with you all for a little bit. If you have any suggestions on what I could be doing better in the future, what I could cover in the future with content, please let me know. I am more than open to hearing anything you guys have to say. Any constructive criticism is very much appreciated. So leave it down below with a comment. I appreciate you guys and Happy New Year.